today we know that Buddhism was founded by Gautama Buddha, right? However, do you think that today the religion remains the same, or are there any changes in it? Well, let's find out. You see, Buddha passed away at the age of 80 in 483 BCE. Well, take a look at this picture here. This is in fact the Ramabhar Stupa, which is there in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. And this is in fact the place that it is believed that Buddha actually gained parinirvana here. So what does parinirvana mean? Parinirvana basically means death. So this is the place that he gained parinirvana in, and so it is a very important site for Buddhists. So a lot of people visited every year. So what happened after Buddha's parinirvana or death? Well, there were a lot of disputes and confusions and questions about how Buddhism is to be, right? And so there were a lot of issues and confusion regarding Buddhist sutras, which arose amongst the followers of Buddhism. So what do you think happened after all of this? Well, to settle all of these disputes and confusions, many gatherings took place, and these gatherings were called councils. So many gatherings took place to settle the disputes that were happening after Buddha's parinirvana, and these were known as councils. And because these were so important, many people from around the world attended these gatherings. Now, amongst these Buddhist councils, the fourth Buddhist council, which was held around 1900 years ago in Kashmir, is of particular significance. It's important. So why is it important? Well, it's important because it was during this Buddhist council that Buddhism suffered a split into two sects. One of them was Mahayana, which was the newer one, and there was the older one, which was the Hinayana, right? And here in the picture you can see Emperor Kanishka inaugurating the newer sect, that was Mahayana Buddhism. So now let's go and learn about these new Buddhist sects. So firstly, this new sect that was Mahayana, it meant greater vehicle, whereas Hinayana meant lesser vehicle. So the people following this new sect of Buddhism, which was Mahayana, believed in 6 perfections. So what were these? These were perfection of giving, ethics, patience, joyous efforts, concentration and wisdom. To them, these things were important, whereas the Hinayana Buddhism, the people who were following the older version of Buddhism, believed in the old teachings of Buddha, and that was important to them. However, both of these sects or both of these variants of Buddhism actually spread all throughout the world. Mahayana spread to north and northwestern parts of India, along with various different countries like China and Tibet. And in fact, today in this day and age, in China, Mahayana is the more popular version of Buddhism, whereas Hinayana spread to Sri Lanka, Thailand, Burma, Cambodia and Laos. So now let's talk about the differences that are there between both of these variants or sects, right? So Mahayana, people who are following Mahayana Buddhism consider Buddha a god. So to them, Buddha was a god. Whereas in Hinayana Buddhism, what happened is that people thought that Buddha was just another human being, right, who worked very hard to achieve nirvana. So to them, Buddha had taken birth and he had worked very hard to achieve nirvana, just like they are trying to do today, right? Whereas in Mahayana Buddhism, people believed that Buddha was in fact a god who was sent to earth so that they could learn from him. The next important point is that Mahayana Buddhists worship the Bodhisattvas. So who are these Bodhisattvas? Well, they are monks who have the ability to achieve nirvana. So they can achieve nirvana, but they delay it, they postpone it so that they can help other people out. They can help other monks that are there in the Sangha and end their suffering. So they are there so that they can achieve nirvana themselves, but they stop it, they postpone it and they delay it so that they can help other people out. And so in Mahayana Buddhism, they also worship such Bodhisattvas. Whereas in Hinayana Buddhism, they follow the original teachings of Buddha, who to them was a spiritual, great spiritual teacher. And so when these people meditate, they are not trying to talk to a god or trying to talk to someone, trying to achieve something. No, they are just meditating for themselves to attain enlightenment, to achieve nirvana themselves. So they are not exactly talking to a god, because there wasn't a god in Hinayana Buddhism, right? To them, Buddha was simply a great spiritual teacher, right? Another important point is that people following Mahayana Buddhism, well, their main goal is to achieve Swarga or heaven, right? So, for achieving such heaven, they have complex rituals and sacrifices. Whereas in Hinayana Buddhism, there was a lot of focus on how to achieve nirvana through self-discipline and meditation. It is important to notice here that Buddhism in fact started with rejecting such complex rituals and sacrifices, because Buddha was against all of these things. To him, rituals and sacrifices were meaningless, right? During the Vedic age, there was a lot of emphasis on such complex rituals and sacrifices which could not be afforded by the lower class people, who were then instantly attracted towards Buddhism. So in a way, we can understand that Mahayana Buddhism was actually walking backwards, walking right towards where it started from. Along with that, in Mahayana Buddhism, there was also now the concept of idol worshipping. Whereas such a concept was not there in Buddhism before, right? So in Hinayana Buddhism, there wasn't this concept of idol worshipping. Lastly, in Mahayana Buddhism, their early texts were written in Sanskrit, which was in fact the language that was used by the higher class people, the richer people. And Buddha did not preach in this language. Buddha in fact preached in the Pali language, right? And so in Hinayana Buddhism, their early texts were written in Pali. Other than that, the early texts that were written in Sanskrit in Mahayana Buddhism were called Mahayana Sutras. And so the people following Mahayana Buddhism read these sutras, which are obviously not read by the Hinayana Buddhists. So from all of this, we can understand that Hinayana Buddhism was the original form of Buddhism that was started by Buddha himself, right? They even maintained the language that Buddha preached in. Other than that, they thought of Buddha as a mere human being, and they followed his teachings and also followed his great lifestyle, right? So a lifestyle of self-discipline and meditation. Whereas when we come to Mahayana Buddhism, which was only started 1900 years ago, we can understand that they have turned Buddha into a god, and they also believe in idol worshipping, right? Whereas it wasn't there before the birth of Mahayana Buddhism, right? Other than that, they also worship bodhisattvas, and they also have complex rituals and sacrifices which were not exactly liked by Buddha himself. Buddha also said that the whole concept of God was beyond human understanding, right? He neither denied it or talked about God, but he was somehow turned into a god himself. Afterwards, we also see that the use of the Sanskrit language, or the language that was spoken by the rich people, also began in Mahayana Buddhism. And it is also because of all of these things that Mahayana Buddhism is more followed than Hinayana Buddhism in today's world. Because today people need a religion where there is a god, there are other prophets, and there are a lot of complex rituals and sacrifices, right? So taking a look at this chart, we can actually understand and we can actually see that they are in fact really different from each other, right? And so we can understand that following rules of Hinayana Buddhism is much more difficult, because you have to have self-discipline and meditate, right? Which is much more difficult than actually conducting complex rituals and sacrifices. And maybe it is because of these difficulties that Hinayana Buddhism provides that we can understand today more people follow the easier way out, which is much more easier. So Mahayana Buddhism is much more easier, and maybe that is the reason why more people in this day and age follow this form of Buddhism. Taking a look at all of this, we can finally conclude by saying that Buddhism was founded by Gautama Buddha more than 2500 years ago. And today it is followed in many countries like Bhutan, Myanmar, Cambodia, and other such countries. You can even pause the video here and look at all of these. So we can see that today Buddhism is the fourth largest religion in the world. So it is in fact a very popular religion, right? Even though it was started 2500 years ago, with the death of Buddha, it did not mean that this religion died itself, right? Even though it has today suffered a split into Mahayana Buddhism and Hinayana Buddhism, which are in fact very different from each other, there are followers of both of these sects across the world. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free on deltastep.com or download the DeltaStep app and get easy access to more than 5,000 amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million+ questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and get a chance to win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it's rewarding too. So register for free now.